Hey, how's it going, everybody? I'm the Diginerdster, and today we'll be continuing A Hand in the Darkness. Yeah! Stupid chair keeps creaking. Need a new one. Alright, I kind of forget what we're doing, but I believe we almost got attacked, and now we are investigating the place where the guy ran off to see where he might have ran to get away in, right? Yeah. The place, at least, for my taste, didn't improve a bit with daylight. Why'd I add a "the"? The walls were ruined by dampness, with the painting and wallpaper falling down to pieces onto the floor. We could see the sky through the roof now, and there were piles of working materials in some corners of the corridors. They are currently repairing the roof. Let me try that again. They are currently repairing the roof, since it was damaged last year by a snowstorm, but I can't hear the men working today. It must be too wet to work on. It must be too wet to work on it, after yesterday's downpour. I nodded. The rain had stopped some moment during the night, but there were still puddles underneath the damaged roof. The sky was ashen gray, so it wouldn't be strange if it started raining again. All in all, I thought to myself while wandering by those abandoned rooms, this place is pretty depressing. The music isn't. I don't like this part of the school. It makes me feel uncomfortable, as if it doesn't want us to be here. Monty chuckled and tousled my hair. It was just a tale, Alex. Relax. This place is just empty and decayed. That's why you don't like it. This is the main corridor. I think this is where we were last night. Afternoon. I looked around us. The floor was dry, and I did remember some puddles, but perhaps the workers had cleaned them. The ground was also quite clean of debris. Monty started touching what was left of the wooden panels of the walls, searching for a hidden door. I did the same on the opposite wall. What is the Scooby-Doo? Monty, say... Why didn't you want the others to come with us? We would have covered all the walls faster. Does it bother you? I'm sorry. It seemed like a good excuse to spend some alone time with you. I spat everywhere. Get used to that. I'm having some sort of allergic reaction to something, and my nose is congested. Oh. My cheeks felt suddenly warm, but I reacted quickly and smiled at Monty. It's alright then. And I almost burped there. It's alright then. I didn't think of that. You didn't? So you didn't want to kiss me again? He came closer with a naughty smile spreading through his face, and I opened my arms to meet him in an embrace, and then suddenly someone walks in. No? His lips were cold, but his mouth tasted of tea and warmth. Get it, 'cause we're in England. Get it? I realized I was as eager as him. That place was not the one. I would have chosen to spend some quality time with Monty, but it would make do. We let our hands wander over our clothed bodies, and soon his back was resting against the wall, and my mind started to feel sweaty numb. Oh, sweetly numb. Monty's hand slithered under my shirt tails and found the bare skin of my back. I shuddered, excited. Feeling adventurous, I loosened his tie and undid— Okay. Undid the first two buttons of his shirt, freeing his clavicle? I licked his Adam's apple and the base of his neck's getting more... Okay, I don't think they'd say turned on, but getting more turned on by the minute. Okay. Is he experienced in this? Yes, bite me there. I can't use that voice and be, heated. I did as he asked, biting him softly on the side of his neck, and tracing a tiny road of bites up to his ear. The flesh felt tender and delicious. Okay, we're a cannibal. I get it. I get it. It's just... It's, what's the word? I can't think of the word. And I had to refrain myself to avoid biting hard, or I would end up hurting him. He moaned loudly, and then I reached his earlobe, panting. Okay. I bucked my hips against his, pressing my... Okay. Half-solid ding-a-ling against his hoo-ha. Oh, Alex! He reached for my mouth again, his fingers digging against my hip bones. Okay, we're gonna get into some detail, aren't we? Should I skip ahead, or... It's just that I know there are people outside my door. I can hear them. Our tongues intertwined, and then I could feel him exploring every nook of my mouth. I can never read these properly. Why am I looking at the light? The camera's there. It was so delicious that I didn't mind the way our saliva was dripping down our chins. Okay, this would be a bad time to be caught, because you are in a very Catholic school. But in the very moment I felt an unexpected air current against the small of my back, all the skin on my back turned into goosebumps. I let go of Monty at once. He looked at me through half-lidded eyes, his neck and his chin, and all the area around his mouth were red and wet from my kisses. Alex! I suddenly felt watched, as if hundreds of eyes were set on me. Uncomfortable, I took Monty's hands on mine. Sorry, Monty. Could we go now? Oh, go? You mean you want to keep searching for the hidden door? In fact, I was 1 second away of starting to... What? In fact, I was 1 second away of start running to the main stairs. That's not English, but okay. But I gulped and counted 3 in my head, trying to calm down. Counted 3? 3 of what? Counted 2, 3, you mean? We had come to that damned place to do something. Yes, let's do that. He looked disappointed, of course, but nodded and tidied up his clothes. A bang of regret made me add, We can follow later, okay? I'm sure we can find a better place. Monty smiled, already focused on the walls. That's for sure. Why did you stop so suddenly, though? Do you think we are going too fast? Did I? In fact, I was perfectly happy with touching Monty and letting him... What? And letting him touching me a bit more. The grammar was okay during the other scene. Why is it bad now? It felt really good. No, it's not that. It's just that I don't like this place. I know it's only me being too suggestible, but I felt as if we were being watched. It gave me the chills. He raised an eyebrow in disbelief. That story really had an effect on you, I see. Do you still feel watched now? I studied our surroundings, and I nodded warily. He looked around, then visibly uneasy. Do you think that man is hiding here? The one that tried to kill Alex? Oh my god, I hadn't thought of that! It was a possibility, right? But we still haven't found any trace of personal belongings, or remains of someone living or sleeping here. That's right, and the workers are here those most days. Why'd I say those days? It clearly says most. They would have seen it if some homeless had sneaked in. They would have seen it if some homeless had sneaked in. Okay. We hummed in agreement, but had no answers to our questions. We searched for some time more, but with no success. If there was a hidden door somewhere, we weren't able to find it. So we joined Rick and Damien in the study room about an hour later, admitting defeat. There goes our lead, even though I liked the idea of the attacker hiding in the 3rd floor. But there weren't any clothes or doofets, or anything. What's a doofet? What about a bonfire or fireplace showing traces of having been lit recently? Oh, wait, deeper voice. What about a bonfire or a fireplace showing traces of having been lit recently? Monty and I glanced at each other. Rick always had the best ideas. I knew we should have taken him there. The ground was black with fire. Wait, the ground was black from a fire in a spot of the biggest room. Yes, but it could have been the workers to warm up before climbing the roof. Rick nodded, thoughtful. We can't rule that out. We can't rule out that our attacker is one of the new servants yet. Not with Mark and that maid acting so suspicious. Any suggestion? Yes, you should come to the kitchen with me this Sunday for the weekly poker match. Almost all the servants will be there. This time you have seen the face of your attacker, so you could recognize him if he comes. Of course, it was really my best chance. Oh yes, I'll do that. Thank you, Damien. Hold on, wouldn't that be too risky? We are talking about a murderer, remember? And he isn't alone, or so it seems. We don't know how he will react. Come on, Monty. What can he do in front of all the other servants? As much as he can try to run away, although I don't think he would succeed in that. I smiled widely, full of hope. We will have him for real, and then we'll be rid of this problem forever. Yes, it's our best option. But... We all looked at him. Monty fisted his hands, but couldn't find any other objection. I patted his back, and tried to convey how hopeful I felt through my smile. Don't worry, perhaps that man isn't there, but if he is, everything will be alright. He still didn't look at ease, and avoided my eyes, but nodded and let the topic go. We tried to focus on our upcoming math exams for the rest of the evening. As we agreed, I found myself following Damien downstairs to the kitchen again the next Sunday. Monty was spending the day out with his uncle and cousins who lived in a small town nearby. He didn't speak to me that morning and left in a bad mood. However, I was too excited by the prospect of unmasking my attacker to worry too much about Monty right then. Alright, little bird. Listen to me carefully. In order to be allowed there during the match, you must play poker with us. Huh? I barely remember the rules. I had played poker perhaps twice or thrice with my elder brothers, and it was long ago. I haven't played at all. Don't fret about the money. I'll lend it to you, and after the match you give it back to me, whatever you haven't managed to lose. Don't get carried away and bet too much, though. Oh sure, thank you very much, Damien. And it would be better if you don't open your mouth too much, so just nod to whatever I say and follow my indications. We don't want you to draw too much attention. I nodded. We were already in front of the kitchen door. Hold on. Are you going to ask me something in exchange for this time? He turned to look at me with a suggestive raise of his eyebrow. Are you willing to pay something in exchange? I'm all ears. I was suddenly aware of how close we were in the narrow landing, and I couldn't help but blush, avoiding his eyes. No, that's not what I meant. Ah, I guessed that much. What a disappointment. But you will owe me one. Sure. Relief washed down my whole body like a shower. I am glad you agree, so don't complain whenever I ask for my treat. Oh. I don't suppose you believe in the honor of relationships, and if I tell you that we're already with Monty, you'll back off. Treat? What the hell? I couldn't finish my thought. The door was pushed open, and there we went. The huge, poorly lit kitchen was bubbling with people. Damien put on his diplomatic persona and started greeting everybody with a wide smile, sharing a few words with each one. I was amazed he could change so quickly from witty and aloof guy I was amazed he could change so quickly from the witty and aloof guy I knew to that easygoing, extroverted public relations. Huh? I envied that skill from the depths of my heart. Since I was just my usual shy self, I sorted to glue my back against the wall and study the faces around me, trying to find someone familiar. Connie was there, talking lively with another maid, but they were the only women present in the kitchen. There were 2 men that I assumed were teachers according to their clothes. They cast a quick glance at my direction and nodded to me as only greeting. They didn't teach to my class. What a relief. For a moment I thought they would throw me out. I guess being in a senior group, and besides, coming as Damien's friend, had its benefits. There was also Max, that grumpy servant I already knew, and all the rest were unknown faces. The man who attacked me didn't seem to be there. Damien grabbed my forearm and made me sit by his side at the table while explaining the general rules for betting out loud. Then he shuffled the cards, winked at me in a reassuring way, and the game started. There were 8 of us playing at the table, and all the rest sat around, watching us while smoking and commenting loudly. Soon a thick cloud of smoke hanged underneath the kitchen ceiling. That would be murder for me, 'cause I got asthma. Like, I freaking had a panic attack at a laser tag thingy because of the mist they use. It caused me to not be able to breathe, and then I had a panic attack because I was like, 11? I tried to focus on the game, going through the basic rules in my head, and at the same time, to keep an eye on the faces and names in front of me. Around the table, apart from Damien, the 2 teachers and Max, there were 3 other servants I haven't met. One of them was a guy slightly older than us, perhaps 18 years old, with curly blonde hair and an unkempt beard. His name was Jack. He seemed a cheerish guy, telling bad taste jokes when he wasn't fully focusing on the game. Martin was another one, around 30, but already balding, sour-faced, and silent. I'm freaking 21 and I'm balding. I'm not upset. He didn't seem to enjoy in the slightest Jack's stupid joke. English. Language I learned when I was born. He didn't seem to enjoy in the slightest Jack's stupid jokes. And the third one was old Billy. Surprisingly, he was a footman. All the other footmen were teenagers, but the old Billy, or Billy Boy, as he was also known, was an old man of more than 60. He had a youthful face and an eternal sweet smile. So I suppose that was the origin of his nickname. After a while, his lack of wit also explained why he was working as a... What happened? What? No, go back, I wasn't done reading that. His lack of wit explained why he was working as a footman. He wasn't fit for any other task. That's kinda mean. The onlookers, to my dismay, came and went all throughout the poker game, so I didn't have the chance to catch their names, or what work they did at the school. Sighing, I felt defeated once again. The best I could do right now then was trying to keep my facade on the card player and ask Damien about all those people afterwards. Those men were clearly experienced players, though, so in the end they had fun picking me clean and watching my surprised face every time they managed to trick me. I was afraid Damien would be mad at me. I was losing all the money he had lent me, after all, but in spite of that, I caught him laughing at me with the others more than once. Fine. Deeply embarrassing, but fine. It was really the longest afternoon of my whole life. But it eventually ended with Miss Hutchinson, when Miss Hutchinson arrived from her day off and bellowed to us to leave her kitchen at once. The servants stayed to tidy up, but the teachers vanished and Damien and I lingered at the stairs. Well, I guess your attacker wasn't there, right? Right. Look, I'm really sorry for losing all your money. He dismissed my words with a wave of his hand. I already counted on it. I'll add that to my compensation. I almost asked what he was talking about, but I bit my tongue in time. I really didn't want to know right then. Among those people, who were the new servants then, do you know? Ah, yes, I asked Connie about that. Apart from Mark, the vanished boy, and Sarah, the grumpy maid, There are 4 more, 2 of them. Were today in the kitchen. One was Martin, the man who was playing with us. I nodded. What does he do? I think he is repairing the roof with another new servant who wasn't here today. Andrew. I never talked with them, though. Then there's the gardener, who barely steps inside the building, and Tom, a footman. Tom is around 19, and he's the only nice one in the group. I have talked with him a lot, but he is very private and won't tell a single personal detail. He was there at the start of the game, but then he left and didn't come back. I frowned. I don't think I caught his face. I just noticed there were 3 or 4 young footmen like Jack. Ah, Jack is a good friend of mine. He is always fun company. Just don't rely on him too much. I nodded absent-minded. So this is all for naught, again. Don't make that face. At least we have ruled out some of the new servants. You didn't see the masked man of the woods, or the man that attacked you in the stairs, right? So Tom and Martin are out. Now, we should find out if the gardener and Andrew are out of view just by chance, or if they are actually avoiding being seen by you. Do you think so? A new ray of hope was born inside me. It's the only lead we have right now, unless you want to wait until you're attacked again. Oh no, of course no. A chill ran up my back. Then you need to see the face of those men as soon as possible, and identify them as your foes, or make sure they are innocent. I nodded, smiling. It was good to have Damien by my side and supporting me. I would be rather lost right then if I was on my own, and going to the head teacher and the police empty-handed would be my only option. But with the brilliant minds of Damien and Rick, and the emotional support of Monty, I felt everything was going to end well. Perhaps I shouldn't have been so optimistic, though, because when Monty came back at dinner time, and I rushed to tell him about the afternoon events, he passed by my side without stopping. Monty! Sorry, we will be late for dinner if we don't hurry up. Monty, wait! Is there something wrong? Are you mad at me? He turned to look at me, at last, and cast an icy glare at my direction. What do you think? But why? What have I done? Oh, you are too busy playing detectives with Damien to even realize how I feel when you have me aside. Oh, leave me aside. Okay, Monty, this is life and death. Literally. I mean, come on. You could have came along. He mumbled through gritted teeth to avoid raising his voice, but some of our peers were starting to glance at us while passing. What? You were out all day the same. All the same. I wanted to invite you to join us. We went to the local fair. I had to go without you, while you had the fun playing cards with Damien. I'm sorry, but you know perfectly well why I had to go with him, so I can't understand why you are angry with me. He huffed and turned again to go. I didn't stop him then, and walked to the dining hall at my own pace. What was with that reaction? What the hell was wrong with Monty? I didn't like that part of him at all. I was so annoyed that I started thinking that perhaps I had made a mistake being in a relationship with him. During the next week, Monty and I barely spoke to each other. The first days I was mad at him, and he was clearly feeling the same about me. And afterwards, well, as my annoyance started to dissipate, I found myself with many things to think about. The last results from the midterms arrived, and despite my efforts, my grades were a far cry from desirable. Honestly, Alex, I can't believe there are so many gaps in your knowledge. That question you made today in class, we studied it 2 years ago. So that's why the teacher glared at me that way. But I wasn't in St. Michael's 2 years ago, and it was completely new for me. Starting to despair, I wondered what my parents were thinking about putting me in a tough school just for the last academic year. I would never catch up with my peers. Well, don't worry. I will explain it to you this afternoon, okay? Cheer up! Those results were only midterms. We still have a whole month until the end of term exams. I'm sure you will do fine in those. Sure, I thought with a deep sigh, but I smiled and thanked Rick all the same. He was trying hard for my sake too, helping me every afternoon. I didn't know what I would do without him. And Damien too. We had agreed to go to the gardener's cabin the next Sunday morning. Since the man barely came to the school building, we would spy on him in his lodging. Oh, spy? We would spy him on his lodgings? I was excited and afraid in equal parts, so worried that I had a hard time getting to sleep at nights. With so many things going on, Monty's attitude was simply the last drop. What I needed from him was reassurance, not that stupid jealousy. By Thursday evening, though, every time our eyes met, stealing glances at each other in class or during meals, I felt a painful prickle, why'd I say pickle? In my chest. Perhaps I was the one being egoist, thinking just in me and what I needed, but what about Monty? Was I really being blind to his needs? Was I putting him aside as he claimed? I wasn't sure anymore. Hey Rick, about Monty. You had an argument or something, right? Yes, I'm trying to sort it out, but sometimes Monty is difficult to understand. I wanted to ask you... Oh gosh, I have to sneeze. Hold it back. Hold it. Okay. I wanted to ask you, how was he before I came here? Was he so overprotective with someone else? Rick looked aside, clearly uncomfortable. That's not for me to say. Perhaps you should talk with him. Please, Rick, we have known each other for 5 years. I'm still new here, and I'm rather puzzled. And with all that is happening right now, I have my hands full without Monty's outbursts. But I really want to get along with him, it's just that I can't figure him out sometimes. Rick pushed his glasses up his nose and sighed loudly. So did he take him off and stuff him up there? Alright, but please don't tell him I have said a thing, or he will get angry at me. I nodded, curious. Last year, we had another roommate, Paul. He arrived transferred from another school like you, and he was rather sickly. Besides, some of the other guys started to mock him and bully him. Monty stayed by him and started threatening whoever dared to laugh at Paul. He was all day over Paul. To the point that he told Damien and me off if we spoke to him. I frowned. Everything was fine to that point, but that started to seem ridiculous, not to say worse. In the end, Paul got sick in mid-spring. At first he was sent to the local hospital, and then back home. We were told he was going to be homeschooled until college. As you can imagine, Monty was devastated. Why? Why gas now? It doesn't... At least, when it happens when I'm playing a game, you usually can't see me unless I have the face cam. As you can imagine, Monty was devastated. I see. Did you think Monty was going to react the same way about me? He shrugged. It started more or less the same, especially since you fell down the stairs and hurt your ankle. I sighed dramatically and thanked Rick again. See you in 10 minutes in the study room, then. I watched him go back to our bedroom. I stayed for a bit in the corridor, which was already half empty, with boys hurrying to their sports practice. Why'd I say spots? Or study rooms, laughing and joking with each other. I wondered if Monty was in love with that Paul. I wonder why Monty had the need to isolate those he cared for. It was sickening, it was bad, and I didn't want that kind of relationship. Not at all. Not with a friend, and of course not with a boyfriend. Do not think that is the right term, but okay. I wondered, too, how Monty felt right now, if he was feeling fine, or if he was sad and regretful. Despite everything, I couldn't help it. I had the urge of running to Monty's side, hug him and check if he was alright. I bit my knuckle and closed my eyes, trying to calm down. I breathed deeply, once, twice, thrice. With my head clearer, I headed to the study room to meet Rick and started studying. I could do it, I told myself, even if my heart was a painful mess. Alright, just a bit more. That night I had still more troubles to sleep, and the next day I was a half-dead creature crawling from... Oh, okay, so this is the next day, okay, so I guess I can stop it here. So, yeah. I'm gonna leave this here, leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you want to see more, and I'll see you in the next video. My chair creaked again. Bye-bye!